So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world. And it's another Sunday, so you know what that means. Another video of Is It That Bad series. And again, I'm joined by JC Rock and Metal Reviews and Tom the Green Man. And today we picked something different. We're going to talk about this album, Falling in Reverse. And this is their first album, The Drug in Me Is You. And it's just by looking at this album cover, I saw them like this is such an emo album cover. Like I got reminded of all those emo bands. So the reason we chose this album is because I did a mini video when Falling in Reverse did a cover of Last Resort by Papa Roach, and I didn't like it. And I got so much comments. I'm like, wait a minute, this is an album. We should talk about this band. So I actually never heard Falling in Reverse that much. I never paid that much attention. So we picked their debut album. So first of all, JC, Tom, how are you today?
Doing good, thanks.
Good, doing good.
Yeah.
Good. So I think this is your first time listening to the band as well, right?
Yeah, for me, yeah.
I've heard a few songs from them, I think, before, as well as the Papa Roach cover, but I've heard a few other songs.
Yeah.
Not this album.
Yeah, I like how Tom he goes like, let me think. You were like really thinking hard. Did I listen to this? So yeah. So you know the drill, people. On the Is It That Bad? We do 3 rounds. First, we talk about our first impressions listening to this album. So we'll just talk about what we thought about this week. Then we'll talk about the 3 tracks that we think are maybe the weakest. And then at the end, we'll give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down and decide, is it that bad? So today, let's have Tom start. Tom, your first impressions of listening to this album yesterday.
I listened to it a few days ago for the first time.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
I've had a few spins of this one. I think it's so when this came out, I didn't really didn't have an awareness of Falling in Reverse. I actually was listening to a lot of prog rock at that time in my life. In my mid-20s, I was going through a big prog phase. So I had no idea about a lot of the stuff that was coming out, even sort of in the charts and everything. So I know that Falling in Reverse is pretty popular. That this album apparently sold over 18,000 copies in its first week, reached number 19, I think, in the Billboard 200 charts. And they have a big following. And whenever, I mean, everybody talks about Ronnie Radke a lot. Whenever he says or does something, it creates a chain reaction on the internet, and everyone goes wild into, all this sort of Ronnie has done this or done that, or someone said this about Ronnie or hasn't said this, and it just becomes a chaos. It feels like there's just all this chaos online surrounding Ronnie Radke. But that aside, other than that, I've heard a few Falling in Reverse songs before this, and then I visited this album. This album actually. It had a bit more metalcore on it than I was expecting. It had a lot of breakdowns. It also had quite a lot of solos. I think this is the work of Jackie Vincent, who was at this time the guitarist in Falling in Reverse. And I didn't really know, apparently he's British and stuff, and I've not heard of him before, but I was like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that I thought probably they were all an old American band or something, I don't know. But so I was totally new to it, but it has a sound. At first, when I had the first 3 or 4 tracks on the album, I thought a lot of the pop punk bands I've been familiar with in the past. But then as it evolved, there was a bit more like heaviness to it. Particularly in the second half of the album, you get some of these even deathcore-like breakdowns that are really heavy, and I was like not expecting those at all. In my mind, Falling in Reverse are this trendy band, this emo bands that and I've never really kind of been emo much in my life. I'd like metalcore a bit and that sort of stuff, and there's a bit of crossover with metalcore and emo bands and all that. But this was, it surprised me a little bit with its, I think its range.
Yeah, and I love how you said that the guitarist was British and stuff. What did you mean by stuff?
I don't know. I know. Just a general comment, really.
Yeah, I know.
I wasn't expecting it.
I'm just so yeah. So what about you, JC? What were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I actually listened to this one twice. I had never listened to this band before. I think I listened to their new song, which was that cover song, and I didn't actually like it. But I went into this like not knowing what to expect. I kind of thought it was going to be more of like a metalcore band, but I found it was more like pop punk mixed with some metalcore. So, and actually thought it was not too bad. I mean, there's some catchy songs. There are some songs that I'll mention later in the second round, which were kind of cringe, but it's actually kind of surprising. I was kind of expecting to hate it, but I do have some positive things to say about it later. It was actually this. I was like looking up the story, and I know Ronnie Radke. He was in this band called Escape the Fate, and then he
Yeah.
went to yeah, he had a lot of troubles with like substance abuse, and then he went to jail for like 4 years. I think it was for manslaughter, and then he got fired from Escape the Fate, and he wrote this record while he was in prison. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But like there are some songs I actually kind of like, and then other ones I didn't. So it was actually kind of surprising because I'm like a real like newcomer to this band. I never really listened to them, and I never really like wanted to listen to them because they didn't like I never heard anything that appealed to me. But going through the whole album, it's there were some stuff in here I liked, some I didn't. But those are my initial thoughts.
Nice. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
never actually didn't pay attention to this band as well. Back in the 2011s, I don't know, I was listening to other type of other stuff, so I didn't pay attention to them. I don't even know if I listened to Escape the Fate that much, but yeah, I knew of him because, like, yeah, he went to jail, and apparently he didn't seem to be like a nice guy. But this is how I listen to describe the sound
Mhm.
of this album. This I have a visual aid. This is the sound of this album, but in a good way. Cheese. Yes, I got the visual aid. So I went into this not knowing much of the band, and I thought it would be interesting because we're going blindly. It's not something that I listened to when it came out. I just listened to it this week. And I remember the first impression when I put it on and the song Raised by Wolves started was like, I'm like, is that You, My Chemical Romance? Like it really sounded like My Chemical Romance, and exactly like this album, 3 Cheers for Revenge, and I fucking love this album. And
Mhm.
unlike Tom, I did went through an emo phase because I have emotions, and let me tell you something, Tom. Girls like emo, so I'm guessing that's why I like emo bands. Like if I like emo bands, you can talk about emo band with girls. It's not like you can go on a date and tell her like, yeah, that Iron Maiden.
Yeah,
It's not gonna work. But if you say, yeah,
emo
Chemical
bands.
Romance, yes. So yeah, my initial thought is I was like, yeah, I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting more metalcore, but yeah, the album goes through different changes. Yes, there's some cringe lyrics, and Ronnie Radke. I just look at him and he's got that face that he looks like a douchebag. Like if people thought that Fred Durst had a douchebag face, I'm sorry. Ronnie Radke has it more, but he does write some catchy songs. So yeah, uh, I thought, yeah, catchy songs, and I've been listening to this album actually. Sometimes for this series of Is It That Bad, I listen to an album like maybe 2 or 3 times. I've, I've actually had this album on repeat this week a few times. So yeah, I listen to it more. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts. So now we're going to round two, and we're gonna pick out 3 tracks that probably weren't the best ones. So Tom, what are your 3 tracks?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think Tragic Magic is one of mine. It's the first one I'm going to pick as one of my least favorite ones. Yeah, and for the reasons that both of you, I think, I mentioned already, that the lyrics are pretty cringe in that one. Turning tragedy into melodies. And particularly when he sings, that's why they call me king of the music scene. And that's understated, isn't it? For you. And yeah, I don't know, that song, I just found like that was pretty cheesy for me, that one.
He should have named that
It
song
wasn't,
Magic
it wasn't
Mike.
a terrible song as such. It just, for me, it was a bit on the cringy side, and I didn't enjoy it as much as some of the other tracks. Good Girls, Bad Guys, for similar reasons. Obviously, you know, was it, he says he's a bad boy and all this kind of stuff, but it's just, yeah, it's kind of cringe. And actually, I did struggle a bit to think of the third. I think maybe Sink or Swim, with the man overboard bit that they sing with. I think they're shouting "man overboard." It's kind of funny actually in a way. But yeah, I didn't really like that one either. That's my third pick. So Tragic Magic, Good Girls, Bad Guys. Good Girls, Bad Guys, I think, is a popular one for them, isn't it? They play it a lot live. So I'm
I've
not
had
really
I have that chorus on repeat on my mind.
Yeah, it's very catchy. I will
Yes.
give the song that. I mean, there's a few songs on here that go round and round in your head. That's one of them. But yeah, I don't really like the song, to be honest. And then Sink or Swim, although Sink or Swim even had one or two minor moments in it that were all right. I think it was quite heavy at times. Yeah.
Nice. So JC, what 3 tracks are you picking?
Okay. Actually, my first 2 are gonna match. Tragic Magic. That one is like, it's like emo music. It's just the song. It's not as, you know, as a song, like the music. It's not that bad, but it's just so like cheesy and it's so arrogant, and just like just the lyrics really ruin it. Also the chorus when it goes like the la 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 like that.
Oh yes.
Chorus is very, yeah, really really bad, really cheesy. Yeah, and actually like wrote down one of the lines. He says, "You bring a picture of me every time you get a haircut." I mean, the lyrics are just
But you know
really
why?
bad. The chorus.
Because he had a beef with the new Escape the Fate singer, and I read that he was saying that he was trying to copy him, and also I think the Escape the Fate singer was dating his ex-girlfriend.
Oh yeah, probably that.
I went to for all the juicy gossip.
Okay. And the second one that Tom picked, the Good Girls Like Bad Guys. I think this is like the worst one. It's just like just the lyrics are bad. I mean, even the music, it's not that bad. It's like if they had this music with completely different lyrics, it wouldn't be that bad. But just the whole idea of there's like one line, I want to kiss your lips, the one between your hips. I mean, this is just, it's just very like this like lewd lyrics,
Like Kid Rock.
and yeah, it's kind of like Kid Rock, but again, it's just like very arrogant. And my third one, I picked something different. That's the last song, called "The Westerner." It's kind of like one of those like Ronnie Radke stories about you know, his life in all his life in the hood, and all like the way he was betrayed. He was kicked out of the band. He was betrayed by his friends, and they sent him to prison. And this one is just another one, just for like the level of like arrogance it has, was why I didn't like it. It was kind of just like a standard pop punk type of song. The chorus was again kind of repetitive, kind of cheesy, and they do some of like the metal vocals, which I actually liked on some of the other stuff, but some of the harsher vocals. But this one, I don't know. This one I didn't like, and those are my three
Okay.
negatives. Yeah.
So on my 3, we have one. There's one in common that hands down we all said it's bad, and it's
Yeah.
Tragic. Tragic Mike. Yes, Tragic Magic. I thought this structure they usually called it Magic Mike, like the movie, because I don't know. Yeah, I hated the chorus when he went like la 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 la. It's so stupid, and yeah, it's like an ego boost. I'm like, wow, he's really full of himself, and yeah. So to me, that was like the cringiest song on the record. I actually didn't pick Good Girls and Bad Guys. I actually love that song. I know it's cheesy. I know it's
Yeah.
lewd.
Boy, Hector,
I don't.
that's what you're
I don't
saying.
know, man.
You're a bad boy.
maybe I'm
It could,
maybe I'm a bad,
it could be like a guilty pleasure song. Yeah.
yeah, maybe I'm a bad guy and I can relate that to Ronnie a little bit. I don't know. I don't know. It kind of reminded me also that song of like I think Good Charlotte had a similar song, right?
That
It's
rings
like
a bell,
yeah,
but I cannot
something
think of the single.
I can, but it kind of reminded me a little bit like Good Charlotte on that track.
Yeah.
But I actually, even though it's cheesy, it's one of the tracks on the album that stayed on my brain. I'm like in the shower, I'm like, why do good girls like bad guys? I don't know. And at the end when he says like she gave him the clap or something,
Oh, yeah, that
I'm
was
like,
weird.
dude,
Yeah, right at
aren't
the
you
end.
supposed to be the bad guy? Maybe you gave the clap to her. Like so. So yeah, it's that was what I actually enjoyed it. So the track that I'm going to pick that I thought was kind of like cheesy, and even the title, even though it's funny, it's cheesy. Is "Don't Mess with Ouija Boards." I'm like, okay. He's like, "Don't mess with Ouija boards." I'm like, I thought it was like, oh my god, it's like real like Ouija boards. Are we in the 1980s? We're having this discussion of how
Yeah.
dangerous Ouija boards are. So I thought it was kind of cringy, but it's fun but cringe, super cringy. So I picked that one, and the other one, no, you guys didn't pick it. Was Caught Like a Fly. It starts like with a saloon bass that it was like, I'm sorry, but it sounded like a ripoff of like a My Chemical Romance from the Black Parade,
Oh,
but
right.
not as good.
I liked it.
Yeah, I was thinking of that
that
one.
was one of the
That one
songs
as
I
well,
liked.
yeah.
That one.
That was one of the ones that you like. So see, we have different things here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I didn't like the beginning of that song because after that part goes, it gets better. But actually, for me, I gotta be honest, it was kind of hard picking songs for this album. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So now we're gonna go to the third and final round where we give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and maybe we talk about redeeming factors. So Tom.
Okay. I think I think I'm just about going to save it. I think that it's a bit of a mixed bag in a way. There's a few tracks that really are just not for me, to be honest. But there's a few tracks as well that I quite enjoyed. I think the opening track, "Raised by Wolves," is a good one with the heavy breakdown in the bridge. I liked that. I actually quite like "Don't Mess with the Ouija Boards" one, but yeah, it was a bit of a strange song, and I don't know how Ouija boards suddenly got into the content of this album. It just feels a bit random. Like, well, let's write a song about Ouija boards out of nowhere.
Maybe he played Ouija boards at jail.
Maybe,
Probably,
yeah.
yeah.
He was thinking of doing it when he got out. I don't know. Then "Caught Like a Fly." I liked that one, although like you say, it starts a bit strange, but it goes through some really interesting parts of the song as well, and like I enjoyed the guitar work in that song. "Goodbye Graceful," I really liked that one. I don't know if you both like "Goodbye Graceful," but you'll say when you get to it. Good chorus, more slick, and it's got that really kind of quite like shredding, hasn't it? Like that solo that keeps going kind of round and round and round. It's pretty cool, and it's another redeeming feature that saves this one. Whilst it's not an album I would choose to probably, it's catchy, and I can listen to this, unlike some of the other albums where you're really struggling to listen to it again. This album's not too long either, so it's quite nice just as a quick, stick it on. It's catchy. Maybe if I did go through an emo phase in my life, it feels a little bit like, I'm going to be 40 fairly soon. So, to go through an emo phase that late feels maybe a bit late to go through an emo phase, but maybe there's still more to come. But
it's never too late to emo.
Yeah, that's the question. Let me know in the comments. Is it too late for me to emo yet? Tell me in the comments. Otherwise, I'm gonna save it, but it's not. I'm not saying I love this album as such, but yeah,
you're not saying like you're gonna like buy a shirt with Ronnie Radke, like Ronnie Radke, I love you, anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think I'd wear that kind of a shirt anyway, regardless of who it was. I mean, you get.
I could just imagine you walking through the streets of London with the Ronnie Radke
Ronnie
shirt.
Radke's face on. Yeah. My God. Yeah, that would be so weird.
And people were like, yeah, I'm like, that's right, I'm emo.
Actually, yeah, you might get people start conversations that come up to
Yeah,
you,
I
calling them
would say
reverse
so.
fans. Yeah.
I'm thinking of buying one for myself, but maybe the thing in Puerto Rico is that a lot of people won't have a clue who he is. If I wear a Bad Bunny shirt, then they would know. But Ronnie Radke, they'll be like, who? Only they won't know who it is. They won't know. So, what about you, JC?
Yeah, yeah, despite some of the songs that I mentioned that I didn't like, but I actually thought it was pretty good. I mean, it's kind of like a guilty pleasure type of album. It's just very fun because there were a few songs that I liked, like "Raised by Wolves," that was like just like pop punk mixed with like metalcore. That one reminded me of like a little bit of like Avenged Sevenfold and like, Simple Plan, like those bands. The Drug of Me and You, that was pretty good. Like those
It was a
harmonized
great
guitars.
track.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good. I mean, I don't really have anything negative to say about that one. I'm Not a Vampire, kind of cheesy, but it's kind of
Pretty good.
a fun type of song. I know nobody mentioned that one, so it's kind of like
Yeah.
there's some pretty good
Yeah.
guitar work on that one. So
Did you
that one I
think of
like.
Nicolas Cage on that one?
Actually, no, but I mean, now that you mention it, yeah, yeah, I can think of
I'm a
Nicolas Cage.
vampire!
Uh, the one you mentioned, "Don't Mess with Reach Voice," I actually like that one. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it's like the heavier song, and you know, there's some pretty good like guitar playing in that one. So I actually like that one. Um, Sink or Swim, that one was not too bad. Again, it's a catchy song. Caught Like a Fly, I guess it kind of mixed feelings. It was kind of like a lot like I even in my notes I wrote down "Welcome to the Black Parade" by My Chemical Romance because that's what it sounded like. It also reminded me
Yeah.
of Avenged Sevenfold, like a little bit of Heaven, like that type of song. But it was that like carnival music. It was kind of weird, but I mean it's okay. And the other one, Goodbye Graceful, it was actually a pretty good song. Actually, I like the guitar riffs and like the drumming and even like the solos, like the guitar playing. It was actually a pretty good song. So I'm gonna give this a thumbs up. Despite some of the songs I didn't like, I think it's kind of like a guilty pleasure type of album. I think I can get into it again. And I'm actually interested in the other albums. I haven't listened to them, but I've heard that he does more like rap in like some of the other albums, but I haven't listened
Yeah,
to
I
them.
listened to one of the songs with the rap, and I wasn't a fan. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, so I think that leaves me, and I think that this is gonna be a first for the Is It That Bad series. I actually am giving it a thumbs up too. I think this is the first time that we've all given a thumbs up to an album. So something that you mentioned, like the solos on this record are very Avenged Sevenfold. That they reminded me when
Yeah.
solo, and it's
Yeah.
kind of funny because like in the song "Good Girl, Bad Guys," I don't know if you caught it where Ronnie Radke goes like guitar, and it goes like, and I saw the music video for it.
Didn't
Did you
see
guys see
that.
the music video for "Good Girl, Bad Guy"?
No.
It's so
I'll
cringe.
watch it later.
He's at Compton, California, with some rappers. Like he's just trying to say, like, yeah, I'm so bad. I went to jail, and
Mm.
yeah, I know that track is cheesy and lewd, but it hasn't left my brain. I think he did an inception on me, and
Mm.
that song is in my brain. So yeah, uh, Raised by Wolves is great. The Drugging Me Is You. It's so catchy, the chorus, like the drugging me is you, and like yeah, you like the emo kid. This album is Hot Topic approved. Like like this is the if you think of a Hot Topic band, that's a pure Hot Topic band. I wish we had Señorita Sabrosura here to discuss this with us, but yeah, no, she's. But yeah, I also love. I felt like tracks like "Pick Up the Phone" was cheesy, but like yeah. He's like, "Pick up the phone," and the end it's like, "No, you didn't pick up the phone. I'm leaving you." And yeah, it's other tracks that I felt was great. Yeah, I thought "Goodbye Graceful" is a great track, great melodic track. So So yeah, I was actually I thought that was gonna come in and hate this record, and I enjoy it. Even with its flaws, I think it's entertaining. It has replay value. So I think yeah,
Yeah.
they did a good job in it. So Falling in Reverse fans, you're gonna be happy because we actually said good things about this record. So we want to know what are your favorite tracks from this record? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you think it's bad, or do you think that it's good? Like us, that we this is the first time in Is It That Bad that we all saved a record. So in conclusion, Falling in Reverse, The Drug in Me Is You is not bad. It's actually good. So next week we're gonna come back, and I don't know what we're gonna review. I think we should we do like a poll again of albums so people can pick.
Yeah, throw up a poll, then we'll
Yeah.
maybe
We'll
decide.
decide. We'll throw up
We'll
a poll
decide by
with
the middle of the week. Yeah.
yeah, in the middle of the week, so people can vote and let us know like what they want us to cover next. So if you haven't, please subscribe to JC Rock and Metal Reviews. He's got some great album reviews for you people, and rankings, very thorough in his reviews. And also subscribe to Tom the Green Man channel if you like sci-fi, if you like horror, and if you like album reviews. He does album reviews as well, and he has the shoegaze files for you people who love shoegaze. So until next time, people, we'll see you on another episode of Is It That Bad? So thank you and good night.